and welcome to Uptown Tonight. Woo, it is August 25th of 2021, and man, it got cool outside, which is really, really nice compared to what's been going on. Oh my God, it's been way too hot. And usually I'm a guy who likes the heat, but you know, it's what it is. I'm your host, Wade Stahlberger, Stallenfacher in some circles, The Wiz in other circles, and some people even call me Discount Tom Cruise. I still don't get that part. But we're here with Brady tonight without Cito. Cito's not feeling very well tonight, so Brady's filling on in. Show yourself. There he is.
I better say hi. Tonight's show
yeah.
is brought to you by the Sam Adams Oktoberfest. 'Tis the season. Cheers.
Beauty. And this guy still hasn't seen Strange Brew, so we got to do something about that. And we also have Conor Lee tonight. The prestigious Conor Lee. This is going to be awesome. Can't wait to meet this guy, really, because I really have no idea about you other than that everyone raves about you and you're good, because I listen to some of your music and wow, it's really, really
thank
good.
You. Yeah.
So we'll get to that, because right now what I need you to do is subscribe. That really help us out. Like, comment, and share. That would really help out this podcast, because basically this is about raising the tides, because if we raise the tides, we raise all ships, and we really want to get this scene really bumping out there, especially now the colleges and schools all started back up again. So basically an influx of another 20,000 kids or whatever coming back in. So you know, the bar scene and all that's going to be really start bumping up here. So it's going to be a fun winter. All right. Well, last weekend with the Adventures of Uptown, we had two shows last weekend. The first one, we can start showing some of these photos we want to, was at Zorba's, the shirt I am wearing tonight. Thank you, Rob, again. Oh, man, these guys were just the best. I mean, they fed us. They gave us whatever liquid stuff that you need to have, and the bartenders are really great. Rob was basically our host, and he was awesome. We got to hook up our monitors, basically our video cameras and all that stuff into their into their system. So it was showing around the entire bar, and the kids had a lot of fun with that. By the end of the night, they started realizing what they could do on a camera that was on stage with us. So that was really fun. But that was really great. So if you ever have the chance to play Zorba's in Park Rapids, jump on the chance. Jump on it. It is awesome. And there's me.
Yes, and we did set him up on the wall.
Yep.
The picture is not sideways. He is on the wall.
You know. With my biggest fan right behind me. And then Brady, I don't know what the deal with this is.
This is a picture that the man Cito took of Butters. Butter is the sound man over at the Windbreak.
And we want Butter on the podcast bad, but he is still refusing. Go give him pressure every time you're at the Windbreak. Go say, "Hi, Butter. You should be on Uptown Tonight."
Yes, we could talk a lot of golf with him, because
we could.
I mean, Cito took the picture because he couldn't believe that this man carried a umbrella for his golf bag. But that's just the beginning with Butter. You should see it. He's got everything in that bag. You could get whatever prescription med you need, whatever you need, whatever golf ball he's got in there. He could sell you something. I mean, it's just.
But Butter, amazing. If you're ever watching this, we want you on, and you know that. I bug you every time we see you. And here's a picture I took of us in Pingree, 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 North Dakota. We were playing the street dance out there. That was a lot of fun. Those people are really cool, too. Really cool. They fed us. We had prime rib out at Pingree. Yeah, so the choices were prime rib, hot dog, or hamburger. Like, what are you going to pick?
And that was a night after we were fed Zorba's pizza on the house.
Oh, yes.
A weekend of eating.
It was good.
It's the best kind of weekend.
It was great. But let's get to... Oh, wait. We got a couple of videos here I want to show you real quick. So Falcon 1 there.
Hey, just a little baby turtle. Look at him go. We're getting fresh rain out here at the Zorbas. And look at him go, little baby turtle.
I did win the Masters that day. So at the end of the day, the red polo that I had on there was eventually covered by a green jacket.
Green jacket.
The green jacket. All right.
Is that the same jacket they had in Billy Madison? Or no, that was a gold jacket.
No, the gold jacket.
That was the gold jacket. Never mind. Let's get a Billy Madison reference in there. So, Connor, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
Good
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's great having you in. Because I know, I think it was Chris Hansen that suggested to have you on.
That's right.
And that's how I got in contact with you because basically if we cross paths, I don't really remember.
You know, I was thinking back, and I think that we did one performance at the Red River Market.
Oh, that was me eating dog on
back when it was by the Bison Building.
Yes,
and
the last jazz show I've ever played, which is fine by well, I shouldn't say that. I like jazz. I know enough jazz to be dangerous, but that's about as far as I go with it.
Sure.
So you know.
So I think we met really briefly then, and I just remember getting really sunburned at that gig.
Oh yeah, so. The sun was out. It was hot that day,
as it typically is. But
it was still fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It was a good gig. It was a good gig. But what do you do?
You know, so I've been living in the Fargo Moorhead area for the past 10 years. 10 years ago. Like on Monday, I was a freshman in college at MSUM. So
10 years ago?
Yeah. Time is kind of nuts, but
graduate of Moorhead then?
Yep. So I
made it all the way through.
Yeah, I did.
Cool.
I did. So I've been living, in the area, and just I guess really the past couple of years have been pretty nuts with a lot of performing and teaching. So I guess for those that don't know, I teach guitar, and I've been performing with a variety of different groups in the region.
Okay.
So yeah,
you have to go further into that. So
sure.
Teaching. Yeah. Do you have students now? Are you taking students or?
Yeah. So I have a couple of students right now that have stuck with me over the past couple of years, which has always been nice to kind of see how they develop.
Progress, yes.
Do
that's what keeps you going.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean that's the goal anytime that you have students, right? Like
exactly.
You can get them from point A to another point at some point. So
and you learn so much in the process yourself.
Just learning how the communication portion of it is nuts.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I've been teaching in the area for probably the past 5 or 6 years, but I've been teaching privately for probably since for probably the last 10 years.
Oh, since you got here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I taught a little bit in my hometown. So I grew up in Fergus Falls, Minnesota.
Fergus.
Yeah, right. So
what was the mascot of Fergus again?
That's an otter.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The otters. That was a spud. Another spud in here. So, the rivalry is starting.
No, I mean, usually any sort of sporting events, I just went for the food. So,
hey, no pep band or anything? Or?
I mean, I was in pep band too. So I guess pep band number 1, number 2 was the hangout.
Well, since we're driving back that far, let's hear a little bit about that. So,
yeah,
so you started off in high school, I'm guessing down there, or did you live there your entire life?
Yep. So I grew up in Fergus. So
okay.
Yep. And yeah, I guess just went. I don't know. I'm a product of the Fergus Falls public school system. So.
Okay. You play any sports or anything? You do any activities?
I did not do any sports. I was typically picked last for gym. So.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. No, I mean, so instead I was really more into music and art. So I really liked drawing and painting. And I didn't really get into guitar until kind of the very end of 7th grade. I was in music. My mom signed me up without telling me, and I
good mother.
Yeah, right. And when the band directors go to your elementary school and they have you try out all these
doing the recruiting. Oh,
yep,
yeah.
the recruiting and
I was good at that.
And and they have all these different mouthpieces, and they just kind of want to see what can you make a sound out of? And I could only make a sound out of the clarinet piece. I could not get the brass thing.
See, that's
happening.
interesting. 'Cause literally, we had to learn how to play clarinet in order to do doing our education studies.
Oh, sure.
In college, it took me a week to get any kind of sound out of the clarinet mouthpiece. I could not get that thing to work, but all the brass stuff was fine. So I'm the exact opposite of you.
I could never. I just could not get that to happen. And I should say, it was never a pleasant sound that I got out of that instrument, but it was a sound enough to be like, okay, you're in. And so I played like the regular, B flat clarinet for I think it was 2 years, and then they had me switch over to like the bass clarinet, which was actually like a way hipper sound. So like super rich and just a less common instrument. So that was cool. So I did that all the way up through the very end of high school.
Oh, really?
So I stayed in band, but that means that I ended up getting into like jazz band, pep band, marching band, and so the music portion later became like a really big like activities portion of my time in high school,
which is great.
Yeah, I mean,
in jazz band, I'll let you were playing guitar.
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I had a friend who was playing guitar in middle school jazz band, and then it was when we got into high school that they encouraged, like, man, you should really consider doing this. And so my high school had, I think what a really important thing I think that for my upbringing was that it had a pretty strong band program.
Okay. Who was the director?
So when I was there, Jim Iverson.
Oh, yes.
And then Jim
Mr.
actually,
Iverson.
yeah, right. So Jim retired halfway through my freshman year of college.
That is. Oh, okay. Well, you made it through.
Yeah, right. Yep. And then Scott Cumro, he's a Concordia grad.
Okay.
So he's been there since, but where was it going with that? So anyway, it was just like a really strong program, and they had so they had two jazz bands. They had like a non-audition group, and then they had like a group that you were supposed to audition in. So for my first year, I did the non-audition group, and just to kind of see what I was getting myself into.
Fair enough.
And I think that was probably a similar boat for everyone in terms of just trying to figure out, well, what is this going to be like compared to our regular band classes that we take. So yeah.
So you made the audition group the following year?
I did. Okay. So I ended up getting really, really into it, and I think that it was less because I was really like digging into the music as much, but it was a thing that quickly forced me to look at the guitar in a way that I never had to before.
So it was a challenge.
Yeah, and I think
challenge accepted.
It was a challenge, but I think that I've thought about this a lot, like more recently, in that I really before I got into guitar, I really liked painting.
Okay.
And so I think that before I started digging into like kind of taking jazz guitar more seriously, I was really into pop punk. That was like, I was just doing that, and that was
that's understandable.
Yeah,
wow,
right. And so I was like totally
in.
Satisfied with that until I think that when I started kind of learning more of these different chords, I was like, oh, there's a whole other world that just like on a palette basis was way more interesting
Starting
to me.
See all the different colors you can combine.
And so I think what attracted me was it kind of felt like I was painting with sound.
Nice.
That was like, and that just kind of got me really like hooked on like this, I feel like I like opened a door into a thing that I had no real conception of. And so it was just, just trying to take it all in. So
cool. And that's brought you along your journey all the way until now, right?
Yeah. Which I didn't really think it was going to work out that way, but it just in terms
Oh, really?
of,
What did you think you were going to get into?
I don't know. I don't really think that. I think that if I remember correctly, I think when I started, high school, I didn't think I was going to go up and pursue music professionally. And that just slowly kind of morphed into
This reality.
yeah, just the thing, I guess. So I think because when I first started playing guitar, I treated it more just as like a hobby for me. Like I just wanted to have fun with it.
And that's how we start.
And I think that when you are in that kind of mindset, you don't really care so much about being good. You just care more about having fun.
Yeah.
And so I think that speaking quite honestly, I really was not like a great guitar student.
And how so?
I just did not want to work on the stuff. Like, the teacher's job, right, is to try and get you from, kind of seeing like your shortcomings.
Yep.
And then trying to, okay, let's kind of shift and
Strengthen your foundation.
and work on these things that, because you can already do this thing, but you can't do this. So let's work on that. And like, well, this thing that I was not very good at just felt like work. And so it's not the fun of it was void.
So were you one of those students that always walked in and made your teacher have to figure out little exercises for you the entire time just to keep you busy?
No, I think it was just more like, why didn't you do this? And I'm like, I didn't want to. Looking back, I just think like, oh man, like had I just like buckled down and worked on that stuff, then I think that I think some of the experiences I had in college would have been different in terms of having to make up for a lot of lost time. But in a way, I mean, I think that
hindsight's 20/20,
right?
Yeah, I think we all do
Yeah.
that. Just like how
Yeah.
much time I wasted, and I could have been doing this, and I could have been doing that.
But I guess in the same time, like I think it worked out. I mean, I think that the college experience brought a different like level of pressure to like get my act together, and so
Oh yeah,
that's when it kind of became more real. And so it was like, okay, I guess if it clicked, then it clicked, and I'm just happy that it clicked. So
So when was this transition? Like, should phrase this better, into you planning on becoming a musician? As I think when I was doing my little snooping on you this afternoon, it was
sure.
like jazz studies
yeah,
major. Was
Yep.
that what you were doing? So when did you
Yeah.
go? Did you go into that right away as a freshman? Were you thinking that when you went to that school, or
Yeah.
did that just kind of happen? Or
So I think just before college, I survived my first year of high school jazz band, and then I made it into the audition group. And in the springtime, we would always go to this jazz festival
at Morris?
Yes,
Yes.
U of M Morris.
I have a Louis Belson signature from that place.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of like one of the spring staples. So, we'd work really hard on this music, go perform it, and then, attend these workshops by some of the guest faculty that they had. And so that kind of catapulted me into, for 2 summers, I went to the U of M Morris. They had a summer jazz camp.
Oh.
So I went away
Yeah, that's
for a
right.
week. Yep.
I remember seeing stuff about
Yeah.
that.
So I went away for a week for 2 summers, and that really, again, kind of that was a way more intense environment in terms of like so much like rehearsing and playing and then like just jamming with other kids and
like-minded jazz people.
yeah
Yeah.
And so like there were some there that were like really like were already really into it and had like a lot of stuff together. And then I think other folks, maybe like myself, who were like they had a thing together, and then they were just trying to figure out like what's next. And so it was, I think, just a really important experience in terms of like the faculty that they had were always like super great and just
Yes.
really encouraging, and but also very not just like spoon feeding, but like had like some sort of like level of like, okay, like you need to like work on this. And so that kind of was like the beginning of like, so I got more into small group jazz,
Okay.
So playing in a jazz combo, and that kind of brought me back when I went back, into the school year. That was always kind of on my brain of like, oh, how can I get more opportunities to kind of do that here? So I did a few like combos in my hometown for a little bit, and I got hooked up with the guitar professor that was at MSUM.
Oh,
So that was Nick Fryer.
that's his name. I was trying to
Yeah.
remember it. Yes.
So I had a friend who was a year older than me who was already taking bass lessons from the bass professor that they had there.
Yep.
It's Alex Verschunen. And he and Alex brought a group to Fergus, so I got to see some of the faculty, and I ended up, let's see, I think I met the faculty like once or like twice while I was still in high school, and so I started taking lessons with Nick my last year of high school.
Nice.
And then
that was my next question. I was like,
Yeah.
were you taking lessons at all during this time?
yeah, so
help you light that path?
so I took lessons with him. I went for a tour at MSUM, and I guess, to be honest, like I remember not feeling like in love with the campus and everything.
I'll tell you my story off
Sure,
air.
sure. Yeah. And I don't know what I was expecting, other than I had friends who were really, really active in like the college search thing. And so they'd come back and they'd just have all of, just this really excitable urgency about what they, went and go toured. And I was like, oh, I just went to this one place and it was just okay. But I just ended up staying there because, I established that relationship with that professor. And I just felt like, well, I really like taking lessons with this person. And so if I want to do this. And so I just decided, like, they, at the time, it was just a music performance with an emphasis in jazz and studio work. I think that was the original major. So then
Okay.
the curriculum changed like 80,000 times while I was there. And
It
so,
still is changing.
right. And so what I ended up leaving with was a jazz studies degree. And so, yeah.
No, I haven't heard anything bad about Fryer at all. So
yeah.
so that'd be a really good place to be. Do you check out any other colleges then at all, or even like peaked in anything, or just I might as well just go here?
Let's see. I think I did one tour of Morris too, because I had a couple friends that ended up going there, and so both, like, I think like one interesting thing in terms of like the comparison of my parents to my friends' parents is that both my parents, essentially went to like my dad has lived in Ferguson his whole life, and then my mom moved to Ferguson like middle school, and so they, since when they got planted there, they had lived there, and then they went to the community college, stayed, and then my mom ended up. She got a job at Otter Tail Power, and they paid for like 80% of her tuition to finish after getting her associate's degree.
Nice.
And so, she got like an almost full ride at MSUM. So she went there. And so I think like,
on that.
so they were just kind of like, why do you feel so urgent? Like you have to go check out all these schools and stuff. And like, I don't know, because everyone says I have to. Because all my friends were like checking out all these different schools, and they were like, "Do you know where you're going to college?" And I'm like, "No, not yet." And like, "You don't?" And I was just like, I don't really know why this is like such a huge deal. And my parents equally, I think, were just kind of confused as to, we just like, they were kind of like, "Why don't you just go to community college?" And I was like, "No, I'm not staying here any longer than I have to." But
Wait, I've got to pipe in here because
What?
So I went to MSUM, I think at the same time that you were going, and I was just going for education, but I can always remember seeing the musician, and the only musician class I had in MSUM was beginners elementary education music. So I was learning like Mary Had a Little Lamb and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I would still go in the same building, and I remember seeing you,
The Rolling
and that was
Dills.
quite a music group that you guys had back then. Like I can remember, was it Andrew Nelson, or and then
Yep.
didn't Matt Tingham?
Yep. So
He-
those guys are actually 2 years younger than me. So they came in just a little bit after. But yeah, I mean that class was just a really interesting dynamic of, for the most part, there were just a lot of folks who were really in it to learn.
Because I can remember bands coming out of that, like I think Downtown Sound was
Yeah,
a lot of
yep.
that kind of age group. That
Yep.
it was Dylan.
Yeah, those.
Then Andrew went to go play with Johnny Holm for a
Holm,
while,
yeah.
and now Matt Tingham's still with 32 Below drumming.
Yeah.
So, it was
So
like,
yeah, all those guys ended up really doing
Yeah.
a lot of stuff.
and
so-
now was Jessica Vines? Was she also going to school
Yep.
around that same time?
Yep. So Jess's was in the same class as Matt and Andrew and Dylan. So
Oh,
I
interesting.
think, I think Dylan
she
was in
was
that
older than
class. He was in the same time period. But
I
yeah.
mean, just a massive class. that,
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
people that are still out there playing lots
Yeah.
and lots of live music.
So what brought all these people in? Because I know when I went to college, my first year was at MSUM, first year. And that was just because Mike Coates was there, and he was like the big
Yeah.
hoobah in the area.
Yeah. Mike
and
was like the
it was
guy.
Rock U, so it didn't even dawn on me to go anywhere else. That's my whole thing why I
Right.
went there. And then Mike resigned literally like a month and a half after we started. So
Yeah, I guess I can't speak for everyone, but I think that probably just a mixture of it being, larger than like our hometowns that we grew up in,
okay.
relatively affordable, and at the time, like
So all these people are from the same area? Because I know I'm going to be asking a few of them to come up. But
Oh, sure. Not like in more rural-ish Minnesota.
Okay.
Or the Midwest, right?
But yeah, just
Jess is
after you
from-
guys talking here, it just seems like, oh, you had a little powerhouse, like
Yeah,
section go right through there.
We had a lot of that was.
Or maybe I'm just naive and there's still more.
It was a good time. I mean, I guess like the dynamic has changed. I mean, I think that at the time, not only it was like the right combination of like the faculty that were there, and then the right combination of the students that were coming in.
Oh, okay.
So I think
Fair enough.
it's a two-way street, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
It is.
Were you guys all playing together a lot at that time, or were you fitting in with that crew? And
Yeah, I got closer with that crew than arguably like my own grade, because I was like one of the few performance majors from my class. A lot of them were music industry students.
That's what I went there
So,
for.
Yeah. So
'Cause I didn't know anything. I was like,
and so they, I
industry.
think they're like their playground, right, was working behind DAWs and microphones and all of that, and I did a little bit of stuff with that, but that never was the thing that was very inspiring for me.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just like sit in a room and just shed for more than for hours and stuff. So
again, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
but yeah, so I mean that was it was just like I think a time where there were just like a lot of students that were just hungry for information. So
And you're amongst them, basically just learning from each other, I'm assuming. and
yeah,
all that.
I think like you have to help each other out. And,
Oh, of course.
and yeah, so we played together a lot in different like school ensembles. Like those guys went off to do Downtown Sound.
Yep.
And then there was kind of like a really brief cover band that I was in with other folks from that class called Uptop. But we didn't.
This is all getting interesting.
Yeah, so we didn't.
ask Cito about this.
We didn't survive for very long. I think like the two venues that we played at the most were on the opposite spectrum. So it was like either the Hodo or the VFW.
Oh, there you go. Two staples in town. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that there were just like varying levels of commitments, or in terms of like what people wanted to put into that that group. And so anytime when you have like there's like 6 of us, right? Guitar, drums, bass, keys, then 2. Yeah, there were 6 of us, and so that's a lot of personalities and a lot of schedules to try and put together.
That's half the fun.
Yeah, right.
It's half the fun. Then this whole thing, we put Brady into the band. We went from a 3 to a 4-piece. Yeah, right there, that whole other dynamic. We had to figure out different ways of scheduling ourselves in there again. Because as a 3-piece, we kind of just walked in, just did our thing. And then we had Brady, and then we started adding rehearsals and all this other fun stuff, which is really good for us to do. I'm so happy that we did it. But, that whole extra person, it's just so surprising how much more of a dynamic that makes.
It's
so 6, that's starting to get up there.
Right. I think it's really, it can be really difficult to make a 3-piece feel consistently full all the time.
That's very true. Lots of notes.
A lot of notes. And then, if you're going from like rhythm to taking a lead, like all of that sound drops out, and so it just it's the
someone else has to pick it up, and then they don't. Then
so it's like when the solo is supposed to be like this epic point, the energy all just kind of takes like a couple notches down. and it's really hard. That's guitar trio stuff is like work. I love having like another harmonic instrument because then it's like I think it's so much easier to stay in like a really specific lane and stay in like one area versus just being so concerned about trying to fill up sound and stuff. So
that's what makes music fun.
Yeah,
the whole challenge of it and everything else. But first, we need to get to what's going on this weekend. So, Brady.
Oh, that means it's my turn.
It's Brady.
What's going on? There is the man. Get better, Cito. We're going to start Uptown at the Windbreak. We got Slamabama on Thursday, the 26th. Aren't they coming on the show here in the future?
December, early December.
Awesome.
And
we
got just scheduled in Matt Ockery is going to be coming.
Oh, wow.
Well, so.
Awesome. Just more and more people joining. And we got, that's quite a follow-up from Slamabama that you got some shitty cover band coming in on Friday the 27th. And you got 2 weeks notice on Saturday the 28th. Over at the Shooting Star, we got Aaron Simmons playing Friday and Saturday. At TAC, we got, I hope I say this right, Subdocta?
The Subdocta.
The Subdocta.
Ooh, looks like DJs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds badass. Then Las Vegas.
This is just for Susie McDonald.
Susie McDonald.
With Susie's weekly report that she puts out. So, she's been posting that she's going to Las Vegas this weekend. So that is definitely Uptown.
Get her on there. I love it.
So have fun, Susie.
Downtown Acoustic Corner, Thursday, August 26th. Kyle, I like that you added this acoustic corner. That is awesome. Kyle Colby is playing Granite City. Project Consolation is playing the 701. Jim White is at the Spicy Pie in West Fargo. Casey and Ellie are at Pub West. Friday the 27th, getting ahead of myself. We got Zach Johnson playing the Rookie Sports Bar. And then Sean Mitchell is playing at the Silver Dollar Flying Pig. Downtown, Fargo VFW. They got Raw Sugar. I was just going to say, there's your VFW. Then we got Pit 611 and Audubon. We got the Front Fenders out there. Fargo Brewing Company, The Hall. We got Rock the Rails, Bear Tooth.
Bear Tooth.
Did I say that right? Bear Tooth. Gosh, that really brings my lisp out, making me self-conscious. All right, we got Flom Farm Fest. We have Whiskey Creek Band coming in Saturday the 28th at Gooseberry Park. The FM Kicks Band is playing on Thursday. You ever join in at the
FM Kicks at all, or?
I've played with some of the folks in that group, but I don't think I haven't done anything officially with the big band.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So
then we got at the Sons of Norway, Tuckered Out is playing Thursday the 26th.
Tomorrow.
Holy, look at the downtown report. It's just growing and growing. It's good
growing.
to have that much music out there. At Dempsey's, Salty Dog is playing Friday the 27th. I love that band name. Salty Dog. We are the Salty Dogs. At the Aquarium, I am not even going to... Isaac Jacuzzi?
Isaac Jacuzzi?
Isaac Jacuzzi.
Yeah.
Sounds like it should have a question mark after it. SPG, De General, FT Big Lean, MIC, Skrilla Blizzy, North Local. I hope our folks out there can read because I gotta stop there. At the Cellar Comedy Club, we got an open mic going on Wednesday the 25th.
Right, probably right as we're speaking here. So
oh yeah,
again, I still want to get to an open mic just to see how they go. I doubt I'd ever go up there, but
you'd go up there with some bad jokes, I'm sure. Wade. And I'd go up with worse jokes. So following the open mic is John Kennedy, Toby, Shamu, Abenazier. I can't read that last name. They would be on Friday. At Tailgaters, we got Special Blend playing tomorrow night. Harley Davidson Fargo got the Quick 56.
Yep, we're having those guys in around a month.
Nice.
So, yep.
They got a show going on.
And I believe they're
where
out
is
of
this?
Minot.
Okay.
At the Harley
well,
Davidson.
no, it says Fargo. Like,
yep, the Harley Davidson. Fargo.
Okay. Wow. So they're just doing like a big parking lot party?
Yeah, it looked like some kind of biker rally thing. Yep.
Yeah, we're back at the beginning. For the folks that are out there, I do have to raise a glass with you if you're...
Some Oktoberfest.
Yeah, it is the season. Jeez, man, I'm all backwards. I can't get my logo right.
But it's not Elsnor.
No.
Just Samuel.
Tis the season. Cheers.
So back to us. So basically, now you're playing with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Who are you playing with?
So I've been playing with Jessica for the past, 18, probably 4 or 5 years, and that has really, I think gone off and just a really heavy work amount that I wasn't really sure that was going to be.
Okay. And for those that are not familiar with Jessica Vines, what does she do?
Yeah. So Jess, she does a number of things. So she first and foremost is band leader, singer, and then also a songwriter of her own original music. She's also a teacher in town, so she's been teaching voice and beginning piano lessons past a couple of years. And then
Does she do her own studio then, or is she somewhere?
So she actually a week let's see, so today's Wednesday, right?
Yes.
So Thursday. So in like 3 days, she is leaving Fargo Moorhead and she is moving to Los Angeles.
Whoa. Okay.
So
well, have a great trip and great adventures out there. I hope you get to visit her out there.
Yeah. We've been talking about. We're already coming back in November because we said yes to doing a wedding. So, but yeah. So in May, we myself, Jessica, and then the other folks in her group, we went out and visited Los Angeles for a week.
Nice.
And that was super fun experience. I went to San Francisco when I was 3, so I don't have a great an idea of what it's like out on the West Coast. So
I've never been to California.
Yeah.
And Brady looks like he came from California. So.
Hey, Wade, I do need to tell you, we got a viewer. We got my buddy out there who's saying that you guys could speak a little more directly into the mic because they have a little trickier time.
Fine, we'll speak directly into the mic. Is that for you, Tyler?
Yeah, there you
Tyler,
go.
fine.
That
will speak into the mic.
Beautiful. He is a man of sound. But yeah, I did come from California. It's no, I did not. I wish. I wish I had that surf vibe. I try to. That's why I actually wear a bandana on stage sometimes, just to get the surf look going.
Oh,
yeah.
keep them on their toes.
The audience, they're never set. Oh wait. All right, so Los Angeles.
Yeah, so Jess will be heading out there at the beginning of next week. But I've, past number of years, like we've been playing a lot. We had a ton of stuff lined up in 2020, and we all know what happened to that. But but yeah, we have played kind of throughout different places in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota. And then when we went out to Los Angeles, Jess and I played at a brewery in Corona, California. So I can say that I've played in California now.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's great. So was that like an acoustic gig type of deal, or?
It was. I guess like that was the thought. That was the first time that I had to worry about bringing a guitar on a plane.
Yes.
So I was successfully able to bring it. But then what happened is that Corona, California is where the Fender Custom Shop factory is.
Oh, nice.
And
did you get to go tour?
We didn't get to go tour, but some of the guys at the shop have a relationship with that brewery.
Interesting.
And so they built 5 guitars for the brewery, and they keep 2 in an office. And so anytime that they have acts coming through, they say, well, do you want to play our guitars?
Well,
and so I was like, I stressed about bringing my guitar on the plane this whole time. I just could have done this, but it started out, so it was 3 sets. Set 1, I played my guitar, and then for the second set, I used one of the custom shop guitars, and then after that one, I grabbed another one.
Nice.
And did that. So
you got to do 3 guitars for 3 different.
Yeah, right.
That's
I think
awesome.
I might have sent you a picture too in our group chat.
Oh yeah, we got to get to those pictures. Make sure. I'm bad about getting to the
no
pictures.
worries, man.
No, we need to hit those because you have a couple on there. I'm just like, what are you doing? We got to find out.
So so that was for me probably like the one of the biggest highlights was just playing these Fender Custom Shop guitars.
Were they as amazing as you would think they would be, or?
I went in
Honest?
not sure, not really sure, and then I was they played great. I think anytime that you play through, I didn't have my amp, so they had an amp there too.
Good.
So I feel like anytime I feel like you play through gear that isn't something that you've built a relationship with,
Gotcha.
It always feels different, and that if it's can I swear?
Just be yourself.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Be
cool.
yourself.
So if it's a shitty instrument, then it's usually just a really frustrating experience. But since these were like really nice and set up and played so well, it felt like that always is able to like bring out things that you wouldn't maybe think of if it's your normal shtick.
Being we're talking about guitars, I have to tell you about my first run-in with you, and you're not going to remember this, but it was the very first time that I had went to a side street jam, and you were the next person up after I was on the stage, and this was keep in mind my very first time I was on stage, and on our passing by, you told me I used to have that exact same guitar. And it was I play an Epiphone 335.
Yeah.
Like the Sunburst.
Yeah.
Typeface.
Nice.
Yeah, and I won't forget that little passing that we had. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Did you like that instrument? I got to ask that. I'm sure you've played a million since then.
Yeah. And so Nick had a 335, and it sounded so good. And really, that was just him. Like, he just sounds so good. And so as I was getting more and more into, the world of jazz guitar, I really wanted a 335. And so I ended up getting one at the Edina Guitar Center.
Down by the cities.
And it was like, in a way, it had all of the things that I thought I wanted, like, aesthetically, but it was a really difficult instrument for me to fully bond with, even though I spent hours and hours on it, like practicing in college and stuff. I was never able to dial in the sound that I like heard in my head and make it come out of
I
that.
just like this terminology, bonding with the equipment, bonding with your instrument. That's very, very interesting to me. So you basically you get in relationships with your instruments.
Yeah,
Are they long-term relationships?
You know, I've I
Sometimes?
think for the ones that I've held on to, yes, but you know, I've had guitars that I've later traded for one that, you know, I ended up like not for one that I liked more.
You just fought with them.
Do you still
Yeah.
have the 335 that I still? That
I don't. So because I was not able to bond with it, like there was just like a certain like frequency that I could just never quite dial out that I did not like.
Such a cool way of thinking about that.
And so I guess fast forward, I think around the end of 2018 or early 2019, I started having some wrist problems.
Oh,
Where I really had to kind of think like I might not be able to play anymore. And at the time, that 335 was my heaviest guitar. And so anytime that I played it for longer than an hour, like standing up, you know, all of that weight on that shoulder, like never did my wrist any more favors. So I later on decided to trade it towards the guitar that I have now, which is a PRS, which I like, no regrets. I love that thing.
That's basically a Fender, isn't it?
So it's like when PRS first like got on the scene, I feel like their shtick was kind of trying to be in the middle of a Gibson style guitar and a Fender style guitar, in terms of the sounds that you could get out of it, and physically the length of the neck is actually right in between the Fender and Gibson.
Oh, really?
measurements.
Okay.
So a Fender
know that.
is 25 and a half inches and a Gibson is 24 and 3/4. And so a PRS is,
I'm loving
is
this.
right. I'm a total nerd.
Yeah.
So a PRS is a 25-inch thing. So it's like right in the middle. And arguably, I feel like it feels just really good.
And that's fair enough. Let's get to some
So-
photos here.
So that's me in the botanical gardens at UCLA and during my trip at LA.
And I just love the coloring behind all this.
So that's
It's-
the guitar that I
That's his
traded
PRS.
the Epiphone for.
Beautiful.
So that was a question I was going to ask you too. Is like, what kind of music do you play with Jessica Vines then?
So when it's just so we started off as an acoustic duo.
Okay.
And so that was turned into a really I think it's interesting, but a journey of at the time, I think both of us were really getting into what are called jazz reharms.
Okay.
And I guess for those that don't know what that is, it's when you take an existing song and you end up writing new chords to go along with it. And that is a big thing that happens in the jazz world. And I've always liked, you know, like I mentioned earlier, I always feel like harmony is a way for me to paint with sound.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I think that can be a really cool opportunity to kind of help highlight lyrics, you know, using the textures and I think the feelings that harmony can evoke can help really amplify what maybe you're trying to say lyrically. And so that was a thing that we were both really getting into. And then Jess was also, after taking some jazz voice lessons, was developing like a binder of jazz standards that, you know, okay, this is my book. This is the tunes that I know. These are the keys that I do them in. And we, so Jess, I think, had just freshly graduated, or maybe she was still in school. I don't really remember. But, you know, we tried to get a gig at a junkyard.
Okay.
And
In Moorhead, yep.
yeah, and what happened was that we didn't really have any content to show, like, this is what we sound like, except for I wrote a reharm of a jazz standard called Autumn Leaves.
Yes.
And we did like this, I don't know, kind of avant-garde performance. You know, I had two friends in like in the film department that helped us out with it. So it visually looked really cool, I thought, or for what we were going for. But you know, like sending that off to a brewery in hopes that they're gonna like book you for 2 hours is really kind of like, looking back at it, I'm amazed that they let us play there. So the story goes is that I can't remember if it was like through email communication or this happened in person. It was like, okay, like we'll book you on a Sunday. And I think the booker even said to us, I don't think you're going to be a good fit. Like, we're just going to try this out and we'll see.
And see what happens.
And then
they're still taking a chance, and it was great.
Yeah. And so then like he came and he was like, you guys sound great. And then, so then we started having like a monthly Sunday thing.
Cool.
And as we started changing our repertoire further and further away from, I think, the jazz world, and just started, just like doing more stylistically like commercial or more pop or R&B related pop covers.
Okay, yeah.
Then we got to play more for like their bigger nights, so Friday or Saturday. And so we kind of went from it being mostly like jazz standards to pop reharms to, maybe more standard covers that folks do. But
in your own way.
Yeah. I think that at the very beginning, I think since it started in such like in a jazz mindset, I really did everything in my power to avoid strumming, because I was like, that's going to sound kind of like every other acoustic duo. So I decided instead, like, I want to try and learn how to play bass lines with my thumb and then add chords with the rest of my fingers independently. And that like really forced my guitar playing to like hone in on, rhythm in a way that I had not had to before. And so that, probably was like one of the better things I ever could have done. Especially going from really only using a pick to playing 3 hours of fingerstyle guitar.
So there was the challenge right there.
Yeah.
But no, that just sounds amazing. So now I got to find videos of you.
I'm sure
there is
they're
some
out there.
there.
Yeah.
That picture is unbelievable, though.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm assuming that's with Jessica Vines.
Yeah. Yep. So that was at her album release show in May at Tech. And
now I see it.
And
Yeah,
I should give credit to Morgan. And Morgan, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but she's a great photographer in town, and so she took that photo. And then there I'm holding a custom shop Telly Deluxe. And so what they told me essentially was that this is like a hybrid of two of their American-made like upper models. So like the American Pro 2 and the Ultra. So essentially it's just like the child of those two guitars. So
you look so happy there too.
Yeah, it was just like a really pretty crazy experience. So it was definitely beaming. So then this, I recently put out a single at the beginning of August, and so that's the cover art. Yeah.
So you write as well?
I do. So
I knew this from before.
Yeah. So while I was in school, well, actually, yeah, so in high school, I got really into like more of like the indie folk songwriting.
Okay.
But I think I ultimately just kind of decided that, in order to like do that, you have to be able to sing
well.
or at least well enough for it to be to
Then
work.
you look at Bob Dylan.
Yeah, but you know the thing is though is that the poetic lyrics were not with my bag. So
It's not the strong
yeah,
suit.
no. So so then I was kind of like, okay, I don't think this is really going to be my thing. So then I got really into the studying jazz, and it really wasn't until my junior year of college where I started writing in that kind of modern jazz style.
Okay.
So then that would later develop into me putting together my group, and we put out a record at the beginning of 2019.
Is that the quartet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was listening to Frontal Cortex.
Yeah, prefrontal cortex. Yeah.
I was really digging that
Oh,
one. That
thanks,
was
man.
Really nice.
Thanks.
Really, really nice.
Yeah. So that was kind of like the modern jazz project that, and that was kind of the thing that I wanted to do. But the music that I've been writing lately is like I guess you could say it's a departure from that. I think that with in the world of jazz, with it being such an interactive music, like the improvisation that happens in it is kind of like the thing. That's I think. But I kind of wanted to shift my focus and have it be just have the improvisation or just a solo section be part of the thing. That's not the main spectacle. So I released a single in February, and then I put out Dusk in August, and that was kind of an attempt to really make sure that, like the tune that I wrote, like all of it compositionally had, I think, strong elements to it, rather than just writing some weird chord changes that sounded cool, then try to rip over it.
I like where you're going with that. No, that's a lot of thought put into it. Where can you find this?
So you can find it on your favorite streaming platforms. Excuse me. I also have it on my Bandcamp. Excuse me. And then I also made like a quick video that's on my YouTube channel. So whether it be Conor Lee Music on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, or just Conor Lee, that's with one N, on your streaming platforms.
There you go. We have a bunch of the links down below as well if you're starting looking for that.
Perfect.
I know you have your Bandcamp link on there and, most of your stuff.
Oh,
so
cool. Perfect.
We'll make sure before you leave that I have everything.
Sure.
Now, what are you trying? You're trying to raise the world.
Yeah, and grunting a lot. So I went recently to spend a weekend in Duluth, and I went to Gooseberry Falls. And there's this I don't know, this rock with essentially that the bottom taken out, and so you can just kind of sit under it. And so I was like, oh, take this picture so it makes it look like I'm trying to lift it up. And again, I think that you can just kind of see in the picture, like the size of my arms would not allow me to lift really anything. So,
you'd be surprised.
So, and then
what is this? This is my whole thing. I was like, what are you doing?
So,
what is that bird in the background? I've never seen this.
Okay, so my I can fill in all of this mystery for you.
Thank you.
So I went. My girlfriend, she grew up in Mott, North Dakota, and we went up to go visit her parents, and that was kind of the first time that she had seen her dad since the world shut down. And so it had been, I think, maybe 18 months.
Wow.
I think that's right. I mean, my math might be spotty on that, but it had been like a really long time. And so we went up to go visit them, and then in, I believe it's Regent, North Dakota, there is what's called the Enchanted Highway, and there are these sculptures.
I've seen that. I've seen a few of those.
And so this particular sculpture, there are, I think, 3 or 4 different pheasants. And so I just chose, like, okay, which would be the one that looks like it's about to eat me? And so then again, I was like, okay, take my picture so it looks like I'm about to be eaten.
You seem like such a serious guy, and then you do this stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, I have to keep people on their toes. So this is at a Japanese market while exploring California. And one of my other our bandmates, he got me really into this Japanese reality TV show called Terrace House, where it's essentially like 6 strangers live together in this house, right? And you just kind of get to see like their day-to-day thing. When he first told me about it, I initially was like, I don't think I'm gonna dig this, but I was like, okay, well, I'll watch an episode, and then I ended up really into it. So what happens is that in the season that I started with, what's I think interesting about the dynamic of that show is that the age ranges are so different. So the youngest male house member was like 18.
So that's how they stir the pot.
And then the oldest was like, I think in his early 30s. And so watching them all have to like cohabitate with each other, can be interesting. And so this 18-year-old is this aspiring chef, but he's kind of just like a fuckboy. So just like,
Not at 18.
right. So he just kind of throughout his time on the show, he really pisses off a lot of the house members. But there's an early scene that he says, "Oh, let me make dinner for all of you." And so you see him in the grocery store, and he's like smelling these onions, which I have, I don't know. I don't think you're supposed to do that to tell if it's a good one or not. So, so the cameras are filming him smelling these onions. And I think the beauty of this show is that, like in American reality TV shows, they interview the cast members, like the people who are living in the house. Right.
Yes.
And so then it's like, well, so-and-so did this behind my back. And so it's that is how we use those people in the house to create drama. So this reality TV show instead has a panel of talk show hosts or comedians or like celebrities or idols that about 15 minutes of show will run, and then it cuts to them like talking about what just happened. And so they all just railed on this kid like smelling these onions. And so I just felt like, well, when in Rome, I'm in a Japanese market in Los Angeles. Well, why not?
Smell the onions. So they smell any different from each other?
Yeah, no, they just smelled like onions.
They smell like onions. The mystery solved.
And then this is a recent. This was actually probably the last time, or this is our last time as Jessica Vine's playing at Dempsey's. So I don't remember if it was like an encore or if it's just our last song of the set, but we usually typically end the night with "I Will Survive," and
nice.
It gets like really hot and sweaty, and Jess is talking to the crowd, and so I grab her blazer and I put it on, and she didn't realize it until she finally looked at me, and then we had this moment. So I hope there isn't video of this somewhere, but I'm screaming "I will survive" into the mic.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, that was a fun time. This is in Koreatown when we went to California, and there I'm holding a bottle of Korean liquor called soju. And that was one of the things that we wanted to do. So other than getting Korean barbecue, which was delicious, I don't know if you guys know much about that, but they have like these little portable grills at your table, and so you grill it there.
Oh, really?
And so it's like a freshly grilled thing, and it was just like amazing. But then there's really no place in Fargo anywhere where I can find soju, so I was like, well, okay, we have to get this too. And I guess to be completely honest, I don't really care for the taste of soju all that much, but it can get you drunk really quickly. So
it gets the job done.
Yeah. It's
got like the novelty of it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like really smooth. So when it goes down, there isn't like a ton of burn. And so it's dangerous.
I like that Oktoberfest.
Oh, you're making me thirsty. Cheers.
And that's it.
And,
so I wasn't sure what kind of pictures to submit. So you just said
that's
like
perfect.
kind of like some interesting stuff. And I'm like, all right, let's do
whatever
that.
you want to talk about. Whatever you want to talk about. But before that, before we end all this today, it's great talking with you and all that. But we have some juvenile destruction we have to do here real quick. A little off the roof.
You gotta tell him the concept of this, that he's got to try to guess here what is
you gotta
being
try to
caused.
guess, because basically, back in the day, I lived in this house my entire life. Years when I was gone. Throwing stuff off the roof.
Yeah.
Is that thing hold flowers? Maybe. I'm going with a flower thing.
Wait, so I have to guess what is being
Sure. Yeah. I have no idea. This is my first time seeing it too.
I'm gonna show up on the video.
That was perfect game too. You're
That
hired.
thing just disintegrated. It was awesome.
Didn't stand the force of gravity.
It didn't like.
I thought it was a bong for a second.
Oh,
I didn't know what it was. Thought it was a bong from the 1915s.
no, but great meeting you, Connor.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And hopefully you're getting out there. Are you moving to California then at some point as well? Or
I am not. I am actually moving to Minneapolis at the end of September.
everyone's moving away. But no, that's good for you. The
Yeah.
music scene down there is brutal. I'll tell you that right now. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna fit right in. So.
Oh, thanks, man. I have a number of friends from school that are living down there, and I have a job.
So you
lined
already
up,
have
so-
ins and everything
yeah,
else.
So
yeah,
it
perfect.
in terms of places like that. It just seems like a place to go. So
Excellent. Anything else for the good of the order?
oh geez. Well, this is like the advice part. You said you wanted.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh.
speaking of advice, we
What?
do have a question in the viewer comment bin. We have
All right.
we have someone asking, does Connor recall a breakthrough moment in his playing where he said he said to himself, "This is it. I'm good."
This is it. I'm good. I'm pretty self-deprecating most of the time, so I would say that instead of the words "I'm good," it was more of like, "Oh, thank God." So I think what happened with that is that a big part of going to music school is ear training. So being able to just recognize pitches and intervals. And there were a lot of things that I conceptually understood in school, but did not really understand or could not audibly pick them out. And so once that started clicking, I was able to learn music and memorize music so much quicker. So it was more of like, oh, thank God, this is finally coming together, so I don't have to agonize over this so much.
That's beautiful advice. That's just
It is.
a mindset to music.
I
right
wouldn't even
there.
say it's advice. It's more like an experience. My gigging advice would be don't eat before gigs.
See, that's what I'm trying to get people out of, because I love eating for a gig, and I'm a drummer, so that's just what it is.
Well, I should say, I love the act. It's just that I have a super sensitive stomach, and so it's just been so close to disaster that I just can't do it.
So
part
then, what
of
do
the
you
show.
got? You got to drink that beer that you were showing, or that liquor.
Oh, that-
Is that what you gotta do? Don't eat and just booze and
just
hard.
do
and
that.
You'll play great. And you'll tell yourself you're good.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming in, Connor.
Yeah, thanks for having
and
me.
remember, if your drummer has more charisma than your front man, your band may be in trouble. But that's why Brady's and Fuego around here. So until next time,